Hey, welcome back, everybody, to On the Verge, your conservative voice of Southern Oregon and your truth in podcasting. We're joined here tonight with some great guests, and we'll introduce them in just a minute. But as always, I want to say a couple of words here for our sponsors. I want to remind everybody that Diamond Lake Mini Storage is one of our major sponsors, as well as Twin Peaks Off Road. That's my company. And recently, Becky Holmes just came to us with a sponsorship as well. And I'll just read her ad because I think it's kind of important. And I'll try to ad lib it a little bit. But it's that time of year again. She's not talking about hunting season, talking about annual enrollment for Medicare and Marketplace. To find out what Medicare just did to you, give Becky Holmes a call. She will take the time to explain your choice and help you come up with a decision that's right for you. Plans change, doctors change, the plans they accept, and your medication list may all have changed. So she's an expert at that. She's a good friend of mine. Call Becky Holm, 541-900-6001. So there, I got it all out. I'm not the greatest at commercials, but I did get that out tonight. So also, want to mention Little Mill Media. They're the ones that put on this broadcast for us, and they're the ones on the other side of the cameras looking back at us, making us look skinny. Something like taller. Yeah, they need to work on the skinny part.
Yeah.
Uh, but I always say it, and I'll say it again. If you don't like our podcast, if we're too conservative for you, come down here and see Justin. He'll put together a podcast for you that's just a little less conservative. If that's what you want. But if you do like us, listen to us and stay with us. If you don't like us, please don't watch. That's okay too. So tonight we have a really awesome guest with us. He's a local businessman. I'm glad to have him here. He came on the show with us to talk about business and politics a little bit. And I'm going to start with you, Clint, if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Clint Newell, owner of Clint Newell Auto Group. Been in the Roseburg area now for 40 years. Company's celebrating our 40th anniversary, the 1st of November. So we got that coming up. Glad to be here with you tonight and, talk about things that's going on. So here we are.
I'm just thrilled that there really is a Clint Newell. So it's not just the name of the company. There really is somebody named Clint.
Yeah.
I've known you for quite a while. I appreciate you and the work you do for the community, and frankly, how much you give back to the community. You've always been a real asset to this community, as well as supplying a lot of jobs. I know a lot of hell. I probably know all of your employees because I've been here a long time. But thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And to my right, we have this guy that's always here.
As always, Trent Drake. I am the Douglas County Republican Central Committee Chair and Virgil's campaign manager.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah.
So we have a lot going on in politics. There's a lot of local politics going on, as well as some stuff going on at state. We just had our legislative days, which really there was a lot of things discussed, but nothing of super significance. Just more or less trying to find ways to tax us more. Seems like that seems to be the agenda of the Democrat Party right now. So we won't get into necessarily all that, but we do have some stuff going on local that I think before we get into the local stuff, Clint, I mentioned to you ahead of time, and this kind of goes into policy that we're working on at state level. You know the car market, you know the industry, what sells, what don't sell. Well, right now Oregon is pushing electric cars like crazy. Tell us what your thoughts are on that.
Well, they're trying to, there was a mandate that Oregon signed on to with California and half a dozen other states to make, EVs mandated. The initial phase of the mandate would have started with the 2026 model year, which is rolling out right now. And that would have required 35% of sales to be electric, all electric. And then it phases into 100% by 2035. And, the thing that people didn't realize is that 35% and 100% are the same thing. Because, as everybody knows, EVs have been selling slowly. And so, to get a gas-powered vehicle, you'd have to take one electric basically to get two gas-powered cars. The problem is you're going to get the two gas-powered in with the one electric. You're going to sell those two real quick, and you're going to be sitting with another electric. And then obviously, eventually, you're just going to have a whole lot full of electric, and there's not going to be anything else left available. And that's what the lawmakers were kind of sneakily trying to do. It's a bad deal. Removed consumer choice completely. really boxed out, the lower price range of the market altogether. It was just a bad deal, very poorly thought out. Infrastructure's not in place. Just, more problems than you can imagine. Luckily, the Trump administration was successful in defeating that mandate. They were able to pull the carpet out from underneath California and saying, no, you can't make your own rules on federal issues.
Right.
And it was deemed a federal issue. And then, that basically blew it for Oregon and Washington and those others as well. So we dodged a real bullet there, but it was very close. There was a lot of panic setting in.
I know that in Oregon, this happened, I think, back in 2021. They passed the clean truck mandate, I think it was called. And actually, right now, we are supposed to be 80% clean trucks, electric, biodiesels, no gas. I'm talking big trucks.
All right.
And what was interesting, we don't have, there's one charging station in the whole state that can charge those big trucks.
Yeah.
And the governor was just going to go right ahead and shove that down everybody's throat. And
Yeah.
I think probably what saved it was the truckers union. And those guys are going to be out of jobs. And it's just really incredibly sad that I guess I'm in the legislature. Actually, I didn't introduce myself. I'm House District 2 state rep. If you don't know who I am, that's crazy. Sorry about that. But I see this, and I sit on the Climate, Energy, and Environment Committee. And I'm also on Commerce and Consumer Protection. So a lot of stuff flows through both those committees in one way or another. And I see these laws that are being written by they're just written by the Democrats. I mean, I don't want to pick on Democrats, but they're the ones that are writing these laws that are just unenforceable and stupid.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think you really have to be partisan about it. I mean, it's easy to go there, and I get that, but it just boils down to common sense. I don't care what party you're in. Don't be stupid.
Can you afford to drive it?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of naivety and ignorance that's gone into some of this rulemaking is mind-boggling. Just things are not thought through at all, and the tunnel vision gets so great with some of the people focusing on the environmental issue. They think they're going to fix the world by making us drive electric cars. And that's just it's just an odd theory. It's a funny thing. Obviously I'm a Toyota dealer, and when you look at what Toyota's doing with hybrid technology, that makes sense.
Right.
The thing that I ask people, I said, wouldn't it be cool to have an electric car that charges itself? And that's kind of what a hybrid is.
Right.
Yeah, it does run on gas part of the time, but it also runs on electricity part of the time, and it marries the two together to work in a workable solution rather than something that, is really impractical at this point in the game. If we give it enough time, let technology develop, EVs will continue to grow, but you got to let it happen. You can't force the technology. You can't legislate this stuff.
Right.
Well, and
they are.
And they're trying to, but it doesn't work. And they just don't seem to understand that. But, one of the interesting things when you start looking at the natural resources required to make some of these batteries, it's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
When you really start to learn about it. And one stat I got from Toyota was for every EV battery that they make, they can make 93 hybrid batteries.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So when you talk about the natural resources
Right.
required, it just shows you the magnitude of what it takes to build an EV. It's not easy.
Oh, so you mean it's not environmentally friendly?
That phase of it is not. No, not at all. And that's a whole other discussion.
Right.
But, I'm just talking about the practicality of manufacturing.
so Toyota's playing with a hydrogen powered car too.
They are.
I actually got to drive one a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
I've driven it as well. Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
and they're
Pretty amazing car, isn't
they
it?
are pretty amazing. They're restricted right now because there's no real hydrogen stations in Oregon yet to speak of. So these guys brought them up from Southern California on a semi truck so
Yeah.
they could take it to the hydrogen convention. And I spoke there at the committee. It was a neat panel to be on, and I said to the folks that were, they had all their developers and people there. I said, look, they'd already compared in their conversation that the price of hydrogen was about the same price as diesel. It's about $4 a gallon right now. Comparison by the usage to the car. I said, great idea, but why come in at the same price of something that's already expensive? I go, you've got the technology to make this stuff cheap. Hydrogen can be cheap to make.
Yeah.
Uh, so why not? And of course, they're business people, so they're going to come in as high as they can to make it where they can, and then it's going to be accepted that it's going to be $5, $6 a gallon. In Denmark, when I was over there, fuel was $8.50 a gallon, and that's how they take your car away from you. You can't afford to drive it.
They tax you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. You see that done on a lot of things, and I hate to see it at the state level, but they're trying to do that in Salem. They're just taxing us out of a lot of things.
Oh yeah, and we're going to get into even more of that here in a few minutes. But that seems to be the common issue with I from what we've seen with our budget. What they came back and gave us kind of an update on the state budget. Where we're at, we're in trouble. There's no question. The state's buried. Our costs, our Medicaid, everything we're doing has been wrong for a lot of years. And there's only one way out of it for them, and that is to increase the taxes. I mean, they'd love to have it. They'd love to have a sales tax. They'd love to tax you on everything they can.
Well, they have one. It's called the corporate activity
tax.
tax.
Well,
that is a sales tax.
and that's a 0.5 point right now, but they'd like to take that up to probably 1.5 points. And that's huge. I mean, because that is based on your gross, not your net.
Right.
And
It doesn't matter if you're profitable or not.
That's right. You can sell $1 million and lose 20,000, and you're still going to pay tax on $1 million. So yeah, I've tried. I ran a bill trying to get the ceiling high, raised higher. Wouldn't have helped your business likely, but just trying to get the ceiling put up to 5 million.
From 1 million?
From 1 million.
Yeah.
So that we give small businesses a chance to just. I couldn't even get a hearing. And every session that I've been involved with since I've been in the legislature, we've tried to get hearings on that. We've tried to raise it to 10 million, 5 million. I even backed off on mine and said 3.5 million, and they still wouldn't give it.
Yeah. Well, I think the focus is in the wrong place. The focus is on the spending side. There's this attitude out there that if you give us enough money, we can fix everything. We can fix the climate. We can fix unemployment. We can fix homelessness. We just need your money, Virgil. We just need more of your money. You give us enough money and, we can cool the climate, It's just a really frustrating discussion because, like I say, there's just a lack of common sense behind it. Oregon doesn't have a revenue problem. They have a spending problem.
Yes.
And when you look at, the PERS contributions, it's just breaking the back.
Yes.
You look at any municipality, any, government, city agency, state agency, whatnot. When you look at their PERS contributions as a percent of their payroll, it would break my business.
Oh, yeah.
It'd break your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be just flat unsustainable. Yet it's just like, well, that's just what it is, and it's just business as usual. And it's like,
Still going up.
I mean, there's just issues like that the backs are being turned on and not being dealt with, and yet they're wondering why they don't have enough money to balance a budget.
Right. We're $333 million in the hole projected right now. And the majority of the tax that the state collects comes from income tax. We're down 11,000 jobs this year. So the 333 million doesn't include the ODOT mess that's going on currently. And that projected over the next 6 years continued to get bigger. It eventually comes back around, assuming we don't list more businesses and more jobs. And, every job that we lose is more, state income tax that they're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to lose more jobs because we're driving them out.
Yes.
Everything that's being implemented is not business friendly. It's pushing business away. But more importantly than that, in my opinion, is that you're doing nothing to attract.
Yes.
If you're a company that's located elsewhere and you're considering expanding, opening an additional location, even moving altogether, Oregon's not on your list.
No. No,
just because Oregon hates business.
regulations.
Yeah, and it's like, don't come here.
Yeah.
There, everything is set up against business, so we lose. And the thing is, when you look at Oregon in total, it's a great place.
It's a beautiful
Geographically, it's awesome. There's a lot of geographical opportunity within our state.
Yeah.
But the structure isn't there.
Right. We could have a robust manufacturing, group here in this state. And we took that away with the timber industry. Southern Oregon used to be our counties were well funded.
Sure.
Took that away. And we can go on and on. I mean, right now, the jobs they're losing today are the Intels of the world. Of
course.
And
That's
they're losing for competition.
That's been the next phase. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't make sense for them to stay.
No, in fact, I remember when we passed we had a bill in the 23 session that was funding the microchip technology. And the state was willing to kick in 200 million, but I think Michigan was kicking in, I don't know, it was like 6 times that amount to get businesses to come there. There were other states that were kicking in money, and I am watching Nevada thrive right now.
Sure.
I mean, I just, when I drive down there, around Sparks and Reno, and I see all these, these data centers popping up and these truck centers popping up where they're delivering.
Well, it's all our neighbors. It's Nevada, it's Idaho. You go south to Arizona.
Yeah.
All of them are benefiting from that wave.
And
Obviously, we hear about Texas and Florida all the time, but
yeah.
There's Kentucky, there's Tennessee. I mean, there's a lot of places that are just winning.
And I just don't know where it stops. I mean, I think that I feel like our state I know we're doing a lot of bitching tonight. And we're going to talk about some solutions here in a minute. But
Not a negative discussion.
yeah, I mean, I want the podcast to be positive.
Yeah, right.
But the reality of it is we're calling out the problem, and the problem. You're right. I mean, the competition. Our regulatory system here in this state, most of it, and part of it I deal with all the time, most of it driven on environmental policy, is just absolutely wiping out our state. DEQ came to us in the short session last year and asked for another, I don't know, $80 million to fund, I don't know, 18 or so positions, people to go into the field and find businesses, because they're not making any money now because they find businesses completely out of business. So they're not there. And that's how they fund themselves, is by fines. So they're adding more people so they can contact more businesses. I'm going, and I called them out in committee. I mean,
well, yeah, it's fines and permits.
Permits, yes. That's true.
I mean, we have DEQ permits just because we exist.
Yes.
It's not because we pollute or do anything bad.
Right.
We just have to pay for the permit because we exist.
Yeah.
Well,
and they regulate,
empty cost.
They'll regulate a parking lot if you pave it. And now your runoff is more, and it's like, okay, so what are you supposed to do for business in Oregon and be able to thrive? And the sad part is people don't understand, when business doesn't thrive, neither does the economy, neither does the community.
Sure.
There are people that say, well, these rich business people, I can tell you, I have a business and I'm not rich, but I also have employees and they're staying employed because I have a business. And,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of tough. I mean, obviously, I've been around for 40 years and, my dad was in business, before I was, and, my granddad as well back in the old days. And, in the older era, success used to be admired.
Yeah.
And success used to be rewarded. And today, success is no longer admired, it's resented.
Yeah. Right.
And it's not rewarded, it's penalized. So, if you're successful, the trend is they want to penalize you. And that's backwards.
There's a word for that, socialism.
Yeah, right. And not only that, but they resent your success. And, that's a sad state of affairs. That's a mindset that needs to shift. Success needs to get back to admiration. When I see somebody succeed in something, I find it admirable.
Yeah.
It's like, that's really cool. Look what they did.
You can congratulate them.
Absolutely.
To not give them a participation trophy.
Yeah. Here you go.
Well, hey, listen, we're gonna cut to a commercial. This is gonna take about 60 seconds. Please stay with us. This will give some time for more people to log in as well. And we will be right back in 60 seconds. Thank you. I want to thank one of our sponsors of this show, Diamond Lake Mini Storage. If you need a little extra space, I will always recommend Diamond Lake Mini Storage. They have 45 brand new units ranging from 50 to 250 square feet with a safe and secure and clean facility. But they're more than just a storage business. They proudly support our local community through 4-H, UAC, Meals on Wheels, and other great programs that make Roseburg stronger. Ask about their move-in specials and visit them on roseburgforrent.com. That's roseburgforrent.com, storage with heart right here at home.
Is your 4x4 ready for the trail? Twin Peaks Off-Road is your first stop for maintenance, repairs, and custom upgrades. From differential services to winch installs, we do it all. Fast, reliable, and built for adventure. Don't wait for breakdowns in the backcountry. Call Twin Peaks Off-Road today at 541-900-0015 or visit twinpeaksoffroad.net. Keep your 4x4 off the roads and in the adventure.
Hey, welcome back to On the Verge, your conservative voice of Southern Oregon, and thanks for joining us. Thank you to everybody for all of the participation. Be sure to like us on, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Apple Music. The list goes on and on.
Subscribe.
Yes, for sure, subscribe. We're also going to continue to do live Facebooks on Tuesday. We're a little late tonight. We had some other stuff going on. But we will also be going live on YouTube, hopefully by next week. So we'll be able to do a live all the way across the board. And we're really enjoying this, and it's been nice to get the conservative voice out there. I also want to remind everybody that you can ask questions, or I'm actually watching this. You can ask questions, you can comment. Please do, because we want your opinions. We may or may not agree with them. Hopefully we do. If we don't, that's okay too. That's politics. So, if there's anything you want to talk about, throw it out there, put it on the comments. We're really not screening them. They're right here in front of us. So, again, thanks everybody for joining us. And again, thank you for my guest, Clint Newell. It's nice to have you tonight. Let's switch the topic a little bit. Let's talk about the referendum, and this actually, this whole thing really does affect you as well, because you're an auto dealer. And, this whole bill for and I know we've talked about this on so many of our podcasts already, but now we're talking about, once the governor signs this disaster, we can actually pull it up and do a referendum. She hasn't signed it yet. What'd you think about the ODOT transportation tax?
Well, gosh, again, it's just, fees and taxes. And it's like, they just want your money. They don't care how they get it. And, the telling sign to me is they don't want to put anything on a ballot. When I look at all the fees and taxes that have been implemented in the last 10 years, nothing's been on a ballot. They just backdoor you on everything. I mean, I remember when, Ted Coolengata was governor, he, wanted to, create a new tax, and no shot. And so he backdoored it, went through DEQ, and boom, there it is.
Made an agency fee.
Yeah. And, they just use the agencies to charge you for everything. And, we're getting taxed without any voice, and I think this transportation bill is just, a tremendous example of that, of just saying, we're going to tax gas, we're going to tax DMV fees, or raise DMV fees. We're going to, raise title fees, registration fees, vehicle privilege tax, which, I can't stand the name of that thing. It's just insulting to me.
Tax on people with money.
Right. But, let's tax on anybody that buys a car, regardless. I mean, it's the whole population. But, that's the way I see it. It's just a big money grab, is all it is, from the citizens of Oregon.
So, Clint, I have to tell you, you have a fan here. Tracy Bandola says Clint has been such a great part of this community on so many levels. He loves this community.
Well, we do. And, we've, we enjoy being part of it, and, doing everything we can to make it a better place to live. And we've been involved in, a lot of great things over the years. And, feel really good about it. Roseburg's a great place to live. I don't care how you
It is.
slice it. It's just a great place to live.
And your business does well, and it treats people well. I mean, I know a lot of your employees, they always speak highly of you and your business. And one of these days, I'm going to buy a car from you. I really.
There you go.
The problem,
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, he's about
he's about retired. So once Mitch retires, so I have to admit, I have literally since high school, every car I've ever bought has come from Mitch Osborne. They've all been Hondas, one Protege, but everything else is Hondas, including the one I'm driving today. So it's like, I mean, you get a good salesperson, and
Sure.
he becomes your friend, and
Yeah.
you trust his word, and he's never
Yeah.
steered me wrong.
And that's a good thing. I always tell people, try to develop a relationship somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it be for buying or whether it be for service, whatever, get a relationship with someone that you can trust that becomes your go-to. And, that's what we've tried to do with our business is develop those relationships. And we're a relationship-based company. And,
Yeah.
and we realize,
We sell a good product.
yeah, we have great product. Great product.
if you
No
were
question
selling-
about that.
If you were selling Kias,
It,
I probably wouldn't be calling.
it'd be a bigger challenge. Yeah, I get it.
Hey, you sold cars.
I did.
You still have some relationships from that.
I do. It's so funny. Of course, I worked for Clint from 88 to 02.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I do today, I learned from him, which I feel real privileged for that, that I still use those techniques and understanding of the human condition to work in my business. And also the philanthropy that was another influence by Clint, that everything that I do, he was kind of the mentor for me for that. But I have people that I insure today that I sold cars to in the 90s. It just,
Yeah. I think you have to give back to the community because the community respects that.
Well, you got to take care of the people that take care of you.
Yes.
Yep.
It's a two-way street.
Yes.
If they're doing something for you, you need to be doing something for them.
Yeah.
And
my relatives.
we've always subscribed to that.
Yeah. Even my little business, we give back in scholarships to kids to
Yep.
go to trade school, and we do I probably have sponsored more kids baseball, softball, football. I mean, every kid that walks in the door, and it's like, you know what, I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Because that's good money spent, and it helps kids, and I'm all about helping the kids.
I bought a cow this year.
Yeah.
That was just, that was stepping up.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I got a message the other night, and if Chris Boyce is watching this, I hope your ears are burning. I got a message that they were bringing a cow to my house. Him and somebody else bought a cow at an auction or some kind of benefit auction, and I gave him a one-word response in a text. I said, no. And he gave me a one-word response back, and it was more like an acronym. It was WTF. And I'm like, I go, hey, my fences aren't good. You're going to have to fix the fence. And he's like, well, I can fix the fence. I'm like, no, I don't want a cow. Anyway, that's a long story. But all right. So referendum. The governor, Kotek, has not signed the bill yet. That's on purpose. We have 90 days from the time it actually passes the Senate to get the referendum, to get the names, to get the referendum on the docket. So she's using up the 30 that she's got. So we will only have 60. Plus, we're going to have to go to Tobias Reed and say, hey, we want to recall this. And I don't know how long that process is going to take. Usually that process is relatively short. Might take 7 days. I don't know. So we're probably going to be looking at 45 days to collect 100,000 signatures. I think that the Republican Party is spearheading it. I mean, I know we are.
Yeah, we are.
There's also the notaxor.net.
Yep.
Yes, that's it.
You'll get 100,000 signatures in a week.
Yeah.
I think we'll get 100,000 signatures easily. I think we'll do it. The only issue we have is it's going to be right at Thanksgiving and right at Christmas, but I think that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's home.
Yeah, everybody's house. And when that comes out, you will see all of us go into action.
Well, and I don't think this is going to be an aisle thing. I think you're going to, I talked to both sides of the aisle and we're like, when it's out, we're signing.
Yeah.
So
Oregon's one of the few states in the union that actually has this process available. I mean, usually when the legislature passes a tax, it's a tax. But we actually have the referendum, and I think it was put into our Constitution like 1904, and it's been used a few times. I don't know the exact details, but it has been used, and I am just glad that at least we have this opportunity. There's also of course, the recall, which I don't know how that's going. I don't know.
I haven't got any numbers. we've been collecting a lot of signatures, like I told you earlier. Whether it's going good or not, it's really engaging people from all over the state.
Yeah.
Are getting out. So it's creating an awareness.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people are, waking up to the fact that, look, this isn't working.
Right.
Nothing's working. And less is working. And I think people are starting to see that. And I think a lot of people that were committed to a lot of the more socialist ideas and whatnot are starting to have some second thoughts, recognizing that this isn't working. We need to go a different direction.
Right.
But to go a different direction, you're going to need a whole new set of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to really take a major shift and major change in the leadership of the state to redefine what it is we want to do and to paint a new vision and to set some new trends and abandon some of, the lunacy that's been going on and
Right.
saying, look, we just need to push that behind us and, here's what we need to do. And somebody just needs to really paint that picture and define the course and spell it out to where people can really understand what makes sense.
Right.
And it's not there right now. But, man, if we could just get to that point where we could have a set of leaders that could work in concert to create that environment, then you'd have a chance of, doing some good things.
The last time we saw that was when Bruce Hanna was co-speaker of the House.
Mhm.
Anything that came to the House floor had to be agreed on by both sides.
Yeah.
And all the BS and nonsense went away.
Yeah. We started to see some light at the end of the tunnel. You're still dealing with a liberal governor, and you still had, a lot of opposition. And, Bruce had a lot of success in setting some of those trends and starting some of that vision, but it just needed to go so much further,
Oh,
and then, once his term was done, then we just kind of lost it.
We lost it. Well, they redistrict too, and redistricting,
Mhm.
the gerrymandering that went on there that at that time, and it's gone on again since, has just really changed when you have people that live in Bend that are considered part of a Portland district.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be you're not going to win.
Right.
Which kind of leads me into my next thing, and I don't want to completely drop the referendum yet, but today I had a gal talk to me about some other stuff related to, we'll get into that, but related to what's going on at Roseburg School District. But she very upset, and she's trying to lead the community on this action against some of the stuff that's going on. And she, we had a nice conversation, and I said, state law is state law. We'd all like to change it, and I think there's ways that we can maybe put some dents in it. Maybe it's take a lawsuit. But she said, well, what do I have to do? And I said, well, there is only one way to change this, which kind of goes back to what you just said. We have to change our leadership. And how are we going to do that? We're not going to if I'm gone tomorrow, we're going to have another conservative leader in this spot. We're going to vote the same, right? We're going to, how I will be remembered is what I did when I was there, when I could. And I strive every day to make sure that I leave a legacy that was fighting for this community. And a red district's a red district. A blue district is a blue district. We're not going to put somebody like me in Portland. That's never going to happen. But what I told her was we have swing districts. And in those swing districts, they're very winnable. And I do believe as a party, that's where we need to focus our energy. And I said this in 23, in 22, actually. And I think in 22, we did it, right? You picked up a couple of seats. And then in 24, we lost a couple of seats. And some of that had to do with the walkout. I mean, walkouts are never good. You always come back with less people. People lose their seats. But we had again, I don't usually call people out, especially Republicans, but I'm going to call out Cyrus Javity again.
Yep.
He was in a very much a swing district, and he ran as a Republican, and now he just switched parties to Democrats. That is a very winnable seat. My understanding is that there is a pretty viable Republican that just put their name up. I spoke with our leader today about it. She didn't really know him that well, but there's some options there. And here's another one, John Lively, who is actually a very moderate Democrat and a pretty good darn guy. I mean, he was our chair in climate, energy, and environment, and frankly, he stopped a lot of nonsense bills that we're going to go through. One of them being the banning race fuel at Portland International Raceway.
Well, and see, and that's part of my point earlier.
Yeah.
I really don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I just care about the decisions you make.
Right.
Yes.
Do you use common sense? Do you make
Yes.
good decisions?
Yes.
If you can find a moderate Democrat that's going to say, hey, this doesn't make sense, we need to, we need to make a better decision here. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need to get,
Well-
more of going, is just some better thinking.
Yeah. And again, going back to John Lively, he's in Lane County area and he's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a winnable seat, very winnable seat. What happens is in the, I had this discussion earlier today online. There was somebody that didn't understand politics at all and didn't like my podcast because I was advertising on an Oregonian Republican site. And I'm like, do you realize who I am? He's like, well, you need to go talk to the elected officials and get elected or something. Like, okay, whatever. Anyway, where was I going with that? So, it's just crazy stuff. But people don't understand that in the House, it takes 36 votes to win a tax bill. And if we can pick up a couple of seats, we can block that. And those are just small wins, I realize, but those are wins. And until we get a different governor, which we have an opportunity there too. I mean, we've got some viable candidates that are starting to talk. Drazen, of course, I've heard she might be throwing her name back in the hat for that. But Shale Sonnen, I don't know if he's could win the seat or not, and Chris Dudley, I don't know. And then of course Daniel Bethel's been on our show a couple of times, and people are talking. The debates are going to start, and maybe may the best candidate win.
Yeah.
But one governor change could change this whole state.
And speaking to what Clint's saying about people that just they have the common sense, a different sensibilities, a business sensibility. So far with Virgil, I've met one Democrat state representative who's self-employed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And he's got the sensibility.
Yeah.
But he's pressured by pressure.
You got a lot of people there with no perspective,
Right.
or lack of perspective.
They never signed the front of a paycheck.
Yeah, and it's not that you have to sign paychecks. It's not that. It's just, you just need to understand what it is that we need to accomplish and
Right.
what's going to be successful.
Right.
Yes.
That's what just gets under my skin so many times, is that they think some of this stuff's going to be successful and it never has a chance.
Right.
And it's like, why do you do this? I mean, I'll use the EV mandate as an example. It's like, my God, there was just no way that was ever going to fly. And they were dead serious about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's just, I mean, it came down to the 11th hour. It really did. But I said, it'll never happen. It can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And, if it does go into effect, it'll be the biggest disaster that they'll have to unwind it, after
after businesses leave and people go broke.
after the carnage.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
it's just a matter of getting people that aren't stupid,
Well put. Very.
it's hard to do sometimes.
Well, and the thing is, and I've seen this in the House, and again, I'm in my third year of serving, and I've learned a heck of a lot. The first year you're in the House or the Senate for that matter, you don't know anything, right? I mean, you're just kind of trying to catch up and figure out which way's up. And the second year, I think, is you're a little better. And I think as you go into your third year, you start learning, okay, if I do this is going to happen, whatever.
Well, I admire what you do because, getting into the political scene in Salem is not pretty.
No, it's
There, like they say, there's two things you should never watch while they're being made, and one is sausage, and the other one's legislation.
yeah.
And it's just ugly. So good on you for taking that on and being our representative and making the sacrifices that you're doing. I don't know how you do it. I know Bruce really well, and he did it for a long time. And I know Tim Freeman, he did it for a long time. And
Yep.
gosh, my hat's off to all you guys, because it's just a
I listen to Tim.
heck of a deal.
Tim gives me a lot of advice. The thing is that you're kind of bumping along and you start to figure out your angles and ways to do things as you get familiar with it. But what doesn't happen on the Republican side is we do, and I am the whip for the party, so we do pressure our caucus to vote certain directions, right? I mean, we try to stay as conservative as we can. But on the Democrat side, and I think it probably has more to do with being in the supermajority, if you don't vote party line, then they will get rid of you. I mean, they will simply find a way for the union or somebody to come along in the next election and take you out. And, we don't have that threat so much.
Yeah, and I wish more people would stand up to that
Yes.
because, if they just say, fine, take me out,
Yeah.
whatever, what are you gaining? Uh, they want to dictate everything and they, it's funny. You use the word fascist sometimes, and you hear it used on the conservative, and it's not, that's what fascists do.
That's exactly what
You
it
know,
is.
and it's like, you're elected to represent.
Yes.
You're not elected to follow. You're elected to lead.
Yes.
And
Well, I've seen.
I get frustrated with that. When either party. If you're not allowed to be an independent thinker.
Yeah.
And to look for better ways. The sum of the heads put together is supposed to be a more powerful body.
Yes.
But if you reduce that into a small group of people that are going to decide everything, you lose all that brain power.
I feel like, you represent the people you represent, right? My first and foremost is to represent the people of this district. So,
Sure.
and of course, God, morality, and everything else is involved as well. But beyond that, when you're passing policy for statewide policy, you should be thinking as statewide, right? I mean, we do things, like for instance, this transportation tax. This is going to hurt the people all over the state, and it's not going to hurt people that are in the upper echelon of income. It's going to hurt the people that they claim that they're trying to help, right?
Well, they do that every time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many bills over the years where you just turn around and say they're going to hurt the people that they're trying to help,
Yes.
and they don't. They're not even smart enough to figure that out. And you see it time and time and time again, and that's what they do.
It's almost like they don't care. And of course, when I say they, I am using they as the majority party. I don't want to call them Democrats. There are some good Democrats. But then again, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're viewing it as a collective
Yeah.
legislative body,
Yes.
and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
And then Governor Kotek, when she was the Speaker of the House, was like she would fist fight you if you didn't agree with her. I mean, literally, she would stop a proceeding and take one of her other reps outside and not necessarily physically beat them, but they come back and vote against their own bill if they had to. I mean, that's how pushy they are and bully they are.
Well, it just goes to show you what she did. 94% of Oregonians said, we don't want this.
Right.
And she said, you're not smart enough to
Right.
think on
And they say, we don't care, we want it, and you're going to get it.
Yeah.
She was so mad. We stopped the 2025 bill, which was the beginning of this bill. We stopped that in the long session because we just ran the clock out on them, and they were so mad.
Yeah.
That was like one of my.
That was good.
Yeah, it was
That was good.
my best night ever.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
when Senator Bonham came in the room, we were all caucused up, and when Senator Bonham came in the room, we're like, "Are we going to do this thing?" He's like, "Yeah, we got this. This is what we're going to do." And I mean, we were just going, "There's nothing she can do now. We've got her over the barrel." And then, of course, she comes back with this garbage in a special session. There's nothing about this that was an emergency. And if it was an emergency, that she was going to lay everybody off. Well, that date's come and gone.
Yep.
So
Now they're hiring.
yeah. So now they're hiring and anticipating, of course, more revenue. Let's switch up again here. Let's talk a little bit about one of the pressing subjects of the day, and that's the Roseburg School issue with transgender kids in the locker room. I've had so many discussions with so many people over the last couple of weeks on this issue. It's horrible. It's a state driven law. I don't like it, and but the navigating through this is going to be a little bit difficult. I guess maybe get your guys' opinion as not being in the legislature, your thoughts on it, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one because of the state law.
Yeah.
To me, it's a common sense issue.
Yeah.
And I think to 99.99% of the public, it's a common sense issue.
Right.
you gotta apply the common sense and really, stand up for what's right and what's wrong. And you need to be considerate to everybody.
Yes.
You don't have to, be drawing lines, putting people in, boxes, so to speak. But come on, I mean, we're dealing with, basic biology here, and
Two
you know,
genders.
yeah, two genders. We've had boys and girls restrooms in schools for how many decades now?
Right. Everybody lived.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that,
Right.
and you can't just throw that away and say that doesn't apply anymore. But yet, that's kind of what they've done.
It's a difficult thing for me because they want to make this into a political issue, right? Instead of a common sense issue. There's no good political way. I mean, I'll just be honest. I've said this to many people. I don't agree with it. I don't think there should ever be a man and a woman's bathroom in high school. When you're talking about high school kids or school kids, right? If you're 21 and you want to use the same bathroom, that's your own prerogative. You can do that. But what I fear
Unless
the most,
Trent's in there.
unless Trent's,
Then I'd just throw you out.
what I fear the most about what's happening right now is the safety of the kids.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean that on, the safety of the girls that are being imposed upon. I mean the safety of the transgender kids.
Sure.
They're, right or wrong, they're kids. And, what their parents' political pathway is, I can't change that. They're going to do what they're going to do. But what I don't want to see is people come out after a couple of kids. Now, in this state, I also believe that you should not be able to transition and do all that nonsense until you're 18, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want, but medically, I don't think that our doctors should, allow those surgeries or whatever until the kid's 18. And frankly, you'd probably make better decisions if you waited until you're 21. But that's just the world we live in. And so living in that world, I want to make sure those kids are safe and also protect our school board too. I mean, our school board's in a hell of a position right now.
Yeah, they are. They're between a rock and a hard place because, their biggest fear always has been, they don't want to be sued.
Right.
And, that's always and you can't operate in that mode.
No.
You know it in your business. I mean, you guys both know this, and I'm the same way. If I got up in the morning worried about being sued, I couldn't function.
Couldn't do
Right.
it. Yeah.
You can't let that be what drives you.
Yes.
Right? You can't let that be your motivation. Your motivation and your drive has to be focusing on what's the right thing to do.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's what the school board really needs to focus on right now. Is they just need to really determine what's the right thing to do. And, that's the best they can do.
Yeah, I also noticed one of the school board members posted some stuff online. They had gone back into the school, I think maybe late last week, and looked at options. The school board itself, and one of the things that I spoke with the superintendent about was they need a new building because those individual facilities you can't do it in that building, and which means possibly a bond measure at some point, to that building that they're basically that's in play is 100 years old. So it's probably time to start thinking about that. Now, I think the state would be money ahead to spend the money on doing something like that. Whether or not they'll get that, remains to be seen.
Well, and what's interesting too is here's an Oregon thing. At the federal level, they said that's all out the window. Obviously, there's obviously Title IX and, different things like that. That I had the opportunity to talk to Riley Gaines' group and get some really in-depth understanding of that. And there's no different, those girls have the right to be and have their own space, and that individual federally doesn't have the right to be there. But Oregon, being the leadership that we've had, the 38 years of failure,
The dumpster fire.
they're sticking to it. And that's part of the reason the president's going, well, you might not get any money.
They've done a lot of goofy stuff. I mean, we legalized narcotics at one point in time, I mean,
And we were only able to reverse that after it got to the point where there was no good route for the Democrats to keep it.
right,
It would have cost them seats.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember those nights. Oh my God. there was a lot of discussion that went on at 10 o'clock at night over what we're going to do that. And the funny thing, we only got about 85% of what we wanted in that, flipping that bill. But still, it's like, I remember I had a call between myself and Commissioner Freeman and the sheriff and the DA the night before the vote, and they were basically lighting me up. It's like, it's not enough. We didn't go far enough. I said, guys, we either take what we can get or we're going to get nothing.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's the compromise.
yeah,
Yeah.
and of course Freeman was, he's a hardcore politician, right? I love him. He's been a great mentor for me, but he was basically telling me what kind of dumbass I was, right? And I'm like, look, I get it, I understand. But then and then the sheriff was kind of lighting me up, and I have a lot of respect for Hanlon. And I'm like, John, I'm doing everything I can, but I mean, if we don't take this deal, we go back to zero. And he's like, well, zero, whatever. Anyway, long story short, called me the next morning. He says, look, I'm not going to divorce you over this. He says, at least you tried. I'm like, thanks, John. I love you too. But
Well, it was one step in the right direction.
it was. And we're working on more, and I think we will get more. But all right, let's go off the Roseburg School thing. I think we all know where that's at. Let's talk real quick. We got about 9 minutes left. Let's talk about the ice situation that's happening in Portland. Everybody likes ice with their bourbon. So it's not too much, but I have been kind of lit up a little bit on social media because I am not going there myself and standing there supporting the ICE people. Well, frankly, I do support everything Trump's doing there. And I'll just say that unabashedly. I'm not afraid to say it because I think that this situation in Portland has been allowed to be completely out of control. And I want to say that the word used by Kristi Noem was the pansies in the leadership in Portland.
That was great.
Yeah, and frankly, that's exactly what they've got.
Okay.
And I'm not blaming the Portland Police Bureau. I'm blaming I'm blaming our governor for one. And I'm
Comes
blaming
back to the leadership.
the leadership. Yeah. All I have to do is check the box and say, take care of this, and the problem would be over.
Sure.
And Trump's saying, you're not going to check the box, so I will.
Yeah.
Got to hear your guys' opinions on that.
Oh man, I'm all for it. I'm just, we've talked about this before. I used to love to go for a weekend to Portland, go downtown, Nike Town, McCormick and Schmidt's, all the great places to go downtown.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
It's all drying up.
The gentleman that had the jewelry store that was down there forever and a day, gone. In the first riots, he lost $3 million worth of jewelry because the people that ran through the door thought they deserved it.
The looting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, again, it defies common sense. I was having this discussion today, coincidentally, with somebody about, what's left in Portland. And, Portland is kind of turning into just, a professional office zone.
Yep.
You got lawyers, you got accountants, and you got some medical doctors, dentists, and so on. But, retail, restaurants, stores, God, they're just drying up.
Yeah.
They're just going away. You just got vacancies. You got people that work there in professional offices, and, that's about it. And I heard something today that they were talking about creating some sort of sky bridge from one of the buildings to a parking structure so that the employees that work there don't have to walk across the street and through the mess
Right.
to get to their place of employment. It's like, well, geez, what's wrong with this picture? That's really dancing around the problem, isn't it?
Oh, it's horrible.
But, it's just like, all those bad decisions are just, rearing their ugly heads. And, again, you just can't fix stupid.
Right.
It just defies logic.
Somebody just made a comment, and I meant to write this down. Carrie's owner made the comment. I meant to write this down. What about the new information about the money going to illegal aliens, medical services versus the amount going to OSP? Thank you for bringing that up. You're right. Today the numbers came out. $1.5 billion is spent in Oregon on not Medicare, but health treatment for illegal aliens. $1.5 billion.
There's your up, money.
$717 million is spent on state police. So roughly twice the budget.
Yeah. So what's wrong with those priorities?
Well, exactly.
It's just, the priority of funding it just has to change.
Yeah, it's not going to change without changing leadership.
Right.
And and I'm not throwing my Republican Party under the bus, because our Republican Party, I could tell you, I mean, I'm in the caucus, on the caucus whip. We're good. We, for the most part. I mean, some of us votes on some things that I don't agree with. I'm more on the conservative side. I'll always be, but we all stand against some of these ridiculous ideas that are happening, and it's a struggle, and frankly, I love representing the people. That's why I do it. I mean, it ain't about the money. I'll tell you that. There's no money in it. There's for the amount of time you spend, you're making about $5 an hour.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I mean, I take my hat off to you guys that do this, but, back to the ICE thing.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? What's the outcome going to be? Cause, they're there, they want to find these people, they want to find the criminals, grab the bad guys, get them out, but, obviously a lot of resistance. So what's going to happen?
Well, so for starters, I spoke with Representative Yunker this morning. We're kind of running out of time, but I spoke with Representative Yunker this morning. He was in Portland doing some videoing of what's going on up there, and he brought to my attention something pretty unnerving, and that is that there's a storage unit right next to where the ICE facility is, and that is where they're going to get their stuff in the mornings before they go and do the protest.
Right.
This is very organized.
Oh, yeah.
So what I see, that's just one of many things. What I see happening is, I think the Trump administration is going to shut them down. I think they're going to go after the funding. So whoever's funding this nonsense, because these guys don't have jobs. These guys are, they have no money. They're doing this stuff just out of sheer nonsense. I see this thing. It's a horrible thing, and I hope that it ends relatively quickly. But I see a standoff coming,
Okay.
and I want to be on the right side of it. So, but am I going to go to Portland and stand on the street so I can get arrested? Not yet. There may come a time I might have to. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see where that outcome goes. We are running short on time. I wish we had more time, but this podcast is also rebroadcast on KQEN radio as well, so they give us about exactly an hour. So we got about 3 minutes. If you have any closing thoughts, Clint, and thank you again for joining us.
Oh gosh, thanks for having me. I mean, it's been fun to chat, obviously a lot of different topics. I guess, we didn't get into business too deep, but that's all right. There's a
You can
lot
come back.
yeah, there's a lot of hot topics these days.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, I really love to have you back, and I'd love to dig in more into business. I mean,
Sure.
it's I really admire the work that you guys do. Trent, you have any closing thoughts?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of what happened, especially like in Portland, at DC. A buddy of mine just came back from there. He goes, "It's a completely different town."
yeah, well,
It-
DC, they turned the corner and finally they accepted the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once they did that, boom,
Yeah.
End of problem.
it got fixed in a hurry.
Yeah.
But, the resistance to the help is the problem.
Right.
There's so much nonsense on coming from the liberal side on Facebook. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but Daisha Graber just posted something today of her in a pansy outfit, making fun of Chrissy Noem, and I'm like, anyway, that's a long story, but maybe we'll get into that next week. Let's see what else. We're just about out of time. I just want to real quick run back through our sponsors again. Diamond Lake Mini Storage, Twin Peaks Off-Road, and now our newest sponsor, Becky Holmes. She's your insurance professional. If you have any questions, changing doctor's plans, any of that stuff, Becky's the one to call. Becky Holmes, 541-900-6001. Good friend of mine. You can trust her. So by all means, if you have insurance questions, please call her. And I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully we can get you back again.
My pleasure.
No,
Great. As always, thank you
Yep.
for being a part of this.
it's been great getting to catch up with Clint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And
We've known each other a long time now.
Indeed. Yeah.
last but not least, I want to remind everybody that Little Mill Media is our production company that puts this on. They are here for you. If you don't like our podcast and you don't think we're not good enough to listen to, please don't listen to us. Just come down here and talk to Justin. Spend a little bit of money. He'll put together a podcast for you. And I
Rich
hope
will give you the address for the complaint department.
there you go. Yeah, there you go. He'll do a great job for you. He does a great job for us. And we do appreciate the work he's doing. And we appreciate being able to get the conservative voice out. I realize tonight was not all politics. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. This is a conservative podcast, and we are the voice of Southern Oregon. We do not lie on this podcast. We tell the truth and only the truth. So thank you all for joining us. And until next week, hopefully next Tuesday, we'll see you at 6 o'clock. And again, thank you. Have a great week.
All right.